Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble podcast. It's Jamie here, and we're going to do match reaction to what we've just witnessed at Tynecastle. I am joined by John and Scott, and Cammy was there, but he dropped off. There he
There
is.
he's back.
There he is. I'm joined by Scott, John, and Cammy. That's some team we've got on the day, by the way. How we doing, lads?
Good.
Fine.
Good now.
Fine, aye.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good. Especially after that result.
Aye, great result. Predicted 2-0, but it should have been far easier.
Let me get to that. I just want to say hello to everybody watching and thank you for watching along on YouTube. Bring your comments in and we'll kick off. Kerr, I don't know, right? I might have been watching a different game, but I thought that was quite... I know McGregor had a few saves to make. I'd expect that at Tynecastle, but I thought that was... Kerr, disagree.
I can. No, you cut out there for a second. No, I thought we actually after we went. I thought we'd done well to go 2-0 up. We threw two fantastic goals, I have to say. But after that, we let Hearts into it quite. I'm not saying easy, but we let Hearts into it. They had a few chances. I just thought we won the ball back and we were turning it over very easily. In the second half, it was more, especially through the centre. But overall, going to Tynecastle, 1-2-0, getting 3 points. She said to me at the start of the day that was going to happen with that performance, and I took it. And sometimes you just get frustrated when you're watching stuff, don't you? You pick up the negatives and the positives. But I suppose 2-0 victory, 3 points. I'm happy with that.
Cammy, were you getting frustrated watching that in the second half?
I was a bit like McCoist in the commentary, to be honest with you. He was very similar. I thought we settled for 2-0, to be honest with you. I think we tried to bring Hearts on to us. The substitution, obviously bringing Wright on, was to try and utilise his pace. But with a couple of chances after half time, put the game to bed before the hour mark, and then you're sitting on a deck chair smoking a cigar for the last half an hour, and it's you're one of these. You're just panicking, even with 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. You're thinking it goes 2-1, they throw a cross in, sort of thing. But over the piece, delighted with 2-0, and Gio's has had a real impact, because I think that's a month ago. That would have been a game that I'm not so sure we would have handled as well.
John, on paper, it was perhaps one of the toughest tests of the season. On Hearts team undefeated at home. We've got to be happy to come away with 2-0.
Yeah, I mean the result's fine. If you didn't watch the game and you've been working or whatever, you've missed the game, you've seen the result with 2-0 up early. We seem to have seen the game out pretty comfortably. It wasn't the way the game was, so that was a horrendous second half. That was a really tough watch. I felt if they'd got a goal, we were in trouble. I think McGregor was. I know we've already put him as man of the match. McGregor was phenomenal again. I don't know what's happened to him, because he seems like he's got all his confidence back and making all those critical saves. Back up sharp for the boys' rebound, the one that he gets up. Just really, really good goalkeeping. Really impressed. I think Hearts are a good side. I can see a lot of the comments kind of echoing that. Hearts are actually a really good side. They didn't sit in. They press high. The only thing that did disappoint me was when Goldson, I was watching it with my mate there, and we were saying that second goal, that's what we've been crying out for. That whole Gerrard start of the season is just runners making straight runs in behind and giving Goldson someone to hit. And then the minute we get the second goal, we stop doing that. Everyone seemed like we were inside their own half. The amount of passes that went Tavernier, Goldson, McGregor, Bassey, McGregor, Goldson, Tavernier, and nothing was happening, while Sakala is coming short for the ball. We're like, you seen the blueprint? Just put it over the top. That's why Sakala's there. That's why Aribo's making those runs. Why Kent's in. We've got all that pace. It makes it really easy to break presses. And I think from the second goal, I think we probably thought the game was done. And I mean, he proved right. What do I know? Van Bronckhorst obviously was right. The game was done. But I think there was a lot of luck and a lot of Alan McGregor involved in that. But like we said, you cannot argue if you're taking a 2-0 win away for Tynecastle, a third clean sheet in a row in the league. It feels like we're back to kind of what we're doing.
I think I've realised what I watched the game on Rangers TV, man. So it was all unicorns and rainbows, man. And I'm dragged into Big Tom commentary there. I was loving life. Back it was easy, not realising. Kerr, Hearts started the game probably the first 5 minutes as we probably expected, but Goldson put the ball through to Kent, who then, I'm sure it went from Goldson to Kent, hits the byline. Now, we've probably been crying out for Kent to be doing that. And this is another part of the Gio thing, which I want to touch on a few things about Gio, but Kent hits the byline, Sakala brings it back, and the Morelos puts it away. It was a cracking goal.
It was, and that's why I like to keep players away, because it makes the part bigger for you to play in it as well, because before that we were always through the middle, try to play the balls through, but like John said earlier, the long diagonals works, the long ball works, especially with the pace we've got with Kent and Sakala. With the pace they've got, they're very hard to pin back. You've seen Sakala in the second half going by kind of like it wasn't there. So if we can use the players to our strengths, it's going to work for us. It's when we do it the opposite, but it was a good goal, and Morelos seems slightly different the way he's playing as well. He seems a bit more confidence back. I thought he came a bit deeper again, which was frustrating because I like Alfie when he's further up the park, back into players holding the ball up, laying it off, turning folk. But when he comes deeper, Sakala was coming deeper, and like John said, we didn't have an out ball, so we were struggling with out ball, and Hearts knew that, so they're pressing us further up the park. But when you've got that out ball, they're going to sit deeper because they don't want to be cut out of the way already. But the first goal was superb. And it's good to see Alfie scoring. You see him at the end. He seems to have a bit of love back of the game, and that's what you want, because that's the Morelos you want in the team.
It's 11 goals. Is it 11 goals now by Christmas? I mean, it's not hitting 30s at the end of the season, but he's on track to get 20 anyway, Cammy, isn't he?
What, by the time
end of the season Celtic, at least?
No, but the time we play Celtic, he might have 20. No, listen, you know my thoughts on Morelos. He looks happy. I think that he was one that probably was delighted by the managerial change. I think his relationship with Gerrard had reached its end, to be honest with you. You know, so I was. My wee puppy was sitting next to me when Morelos scored, and 8 weeks old, she nearly had a heart attack after 6 days in the house. she sort of looked at me as if to say, "What are you screaming for?" You know. But great finish, and for that 10 minutes, we were superb. You know, and the rest of the game we managed it, but should have done more. But hey ho.
Hopefully she'll get used to that, Cammy, the rest of the season, I think, She'll need to get used to it. John, starting 11. Were we surprised? It looked like a real attacking lineup from the outset.
Not really. No, it was some similar to what I expected. I wasn't sure if he thought Wright had done enough on Thursday to maybe keep his space, but I did think it was going to be Sakala or Wright on that right wing position. I thought that was going to be what he was going to try and do. Kingsley's a brilliant technical footballer, but he definitely is slow going back the way. So I don't know if that's been identified or if that was more just luck rather than creation, but Kingsley has been slow. I think Sakala showed him in a few times that he was really capable of doing them if he wanted to. Even just over 5-10 yards, he was able to rip him apart for the first goal. He'd done it in the second half. I just wish he'd done it a bit more, but that was in us playing too deep and inviting them on a little bit. But no, the starting 11 was as expected. I just think we could have maybe made subs a bit earlier. Just to kind of close up. I think we were all saying in the chat, maybe get a Davis or Lundstrom on. I know it came on eventually, but just with the fact we've got Wednesday, Saturday coming up this week, and then we're in the Christmas schedule. But at the same time, he's probably wanting to see players. He probably needs minutes in people's legs to get a full feel of what's going on. But it's hard to find anything to complain about, to be honest. It's good.
It's a hectic schedule as always, isn't it? Six games in 22, I think, on the horizon. So I've not even told my missus that one yet, but anyway. William put a comment up there for William saying that's 6 points in the capital this season so far. That's fantastic, and the 6 points were tied up almost really, and after the 15 minutes or something like that. Old school Goldson, man, big diag, Cammy over the top, and what is that touch all about?
He's just. I think there was a pass before that. I think he didn't get onto it, sort of thing, you know. Yeah. But I mean, Goldson plays that pass. Goldson the last two games, I think, to be honest, since the semi-final, I think Goldson has, and I think it shows the character of the man. I think his performances have been very good. I think he's had an impact on the positivity around Calvin Bassey. Wasn't Bassey's best day today, to be honest with you, but Joe Aribo just superb, and get that contract signed, Joe.
I know, we're not. Let's not even start. I can't do that. Kerr, one thing I was wanting to just touch on, and it was quite evident in the first half at points. I actually, at halftime, was sitting pretty thinking Hearts are never going to trouble us, and I know they did in the second half, but Gio's brought in a kind of real solid shape when we're defending. Hearts were getting, in the first half, Hearts were resorting to just hitting pot shots for outside the box.
Yeah, I think he's trying to make it. Obviously, Kamara was sitting really deep. I think at one point he was in between the centre half, so they could spread out, and it's making it difficult to play through the lines. Hearts did seem to pinpoint Bassey for some reason. Didn't Boyce was always put on to Bassey, just because he's a bit inexperienced and his positional play can cause him issues at times. He done okay. Bassey's had better days. With Hearts never scored, but he was unlucky a couple of times, especially when he hit the bar himself. But it's just they're going to have to get used. I mean, Gio's not long in the door, and we can see a difference. The players can see a difference. You can see the players are actually maybe enjoying playing for. Then you get this new way, a bit more about them. Obviously, Tav and Borner's not going up the park as much, so it's making us a bit more defensive, and you can see that with the clean sheets as well. So it's a work in progress still, but it's good he's come in. The teams are finding it's hard to beat. We've had a bit of luck here and there, but every team gets luck. We might not one day, but we're having it at the moment, so we just keep picking up the points and keep going.
Cammy, we'll let you answer this next question, because seeing as your name is Van Bronckhorst on there. It's something I was thinking about during the start of the game, that I don't know if I said I wasn't fully on the Gio train yet, just I wanted to see how it was panning out. But after today, I'm right on there, man. I'm tooting the horn. Is that right?
To be honest with you, I don't think he's changed. It's not been massive changes. It's just subtle. I've used this phrase 100 times this week, subtle tweaks. But he hasn't reinvented the wheel. He's not had the time on the training ground. And I think Scott Arfield in the presser spoke about it, that a lot of the information has been via team meetings and the tactical stuff that they're doing. I think if we can get to January 4 points or better, he's going to have a bit of time on the training ground. You know, we're only going to get stronger. This is only the start. Massively positive signs, but I think there's so much more to come. Listen, I was all aboard the Gio train. Loved him as a player. Followed his career throughout after he left us, and he obviously done well at Feyenoord. He's came back to us. He oozes class, you know. Looks like a Rangers manager. See, when you see him standing there on the side of the park, he looks like a Rangers manager, acts like a Rangers manager, and all he has to do is now win trophies as a Rangers manager, and I've no doubt that he will do that many times.
John, I want to come to you next, but there's a question came in for you, so just from Corey Monster, I just want to see if you can answer the question for him.
I'm a fan of a pink shirt. Everyone knows this.
John, I thought as well, and we've spoken, that's probably something that we'd lacked in previous seasons under Gerrard, was game management. But you can just tell by even McGregor's booking, and just when it got to 2-0, we slowed the game down the last 10-15 in the first half, and I just think there's a bit of game management, certainly an improvement in our game management under Van Bronckhorst, I think.
It's all right, but I think we've done it too early. I don't mind going into a last 20 minutes with a 2-0 lead and seeing it out. We done that way too early. It was too safe. I honestly think there was a third goal. I mean, we did have chances, to be fair, but I think there was a third goal in that first half for us that would have completely killed the game. It's pure cliche as fuck, but 2-0 is very dodgy. If they get a goal in the last 10 minutes, we're backs against the wall, we're camped in. I think we could have kept doing what we're doing through to half time and then changed it. We let them come on top of us. I don't particularly think it was a masterclass. I think when people watch that back, Hearts had more shots in goal, more shots in target, more corners, more possession of the ball. That doesn't read too good. Hearts are a good side, but we should still be outplaying them and have more possession of the ball. But that would be the only thing that concerns me, that McGregor did have to be so good.
Yeah. Kerr, this is something, I mean, I thought this guy had another couple of good saves as well. I think it was a one from Arfield as well. Craig Gordon again, and we've spoken about him a lot on Best of the Rest. He had another couple of good saves today, which probably could have kept the score down as well for us.
We all know how good a goalkeeper Craig Gordon is. We watch the rest of the SPL to do the other show, and just Craig Gordon's just phenomenal. He's a bit like Alan McGregor. I know Alan, we all kind of agreed. Alan he hadn't lost it early in the season, but we thought it was a slight change. It seems to have got that back. But Craig Gordon, he'll save Hearts 10, 15 points a season easy because he's that good a keeper. And to have two goalkeepers that age in the park pulling off saves like that, it's just really good for Scottish football. Do you know what I mean? The both of them are superb on their day and they're very hard to beat. And it was actually a really good game of football for anybody watching that wasn't a fan of either team because it was back and forth and the type of game, it's a better game to watch than some of the Premiership games. Do you know what I mean? And it's a really good game of football. The day, like John says, if you watch it back again, you probably realise maybe how well Hearts played, how pinpoint other things. But as a fan, one side or the other, it's frustrating to watch. But as a neutral, it was a great game.
Folks, thanks for watching, coming along. Obviously, we've got Patreon as well, so links in the description for anybody who can afford £2 a month to listen to all our other content. Yeah, bring in some comments, folks, and I'll bring them up. And this is something I was wanting to touch on as well. And the big man's put it on. Another clean sheet today, Cammy. That's only one goal we've conceded. Is that one goal in the league we've conceded under Gerrard, or one goal in total? Because I thought it was two we'd conceded, but the defence.
One in the league against Livingston, wasn't it?
Yeah,
obviously UEFA against Leon.
Cammy,
I'm not sure on the stats. I think we've rode our luck on occasions defensively. I think there's still a bit of polish required. Thursday night with regard to set pieces. It's not a day to be really too hypercritical. We've had a fantastic result, but I still think there's a wee bit of work to do defensively, set pieces, and as much as I'm loving Bassey, I think there's times he's positionally he struggles, but that is his inexperience in that position. I do think Borna has been excellent defensively, and I loved the way that he flipped the switch. He went from perfectly calm to a complete madman in the space of about 5 seconds, which then resulted in Giannelli losing the plot and getting sent off, sort of thing. I think Tav defensively, I think's been pretty good, and I think Golson's been excellent, and I think we spoke about the revitalised Alan McGregor. So if you talk about it individually, I think the defence is doing quite well, but I think collectively, I still think there's a bit of again, that's where I think we get to January, they can maybe spend a bit more time working on certain aspects of it. By that time, Balogun will be fit, Helander will be fit. It gives you a bit more options. But we're not looking as leaky as we did, but there's still a wee bit of work to do, in my opinion.
John, it is early doors still under Gerrard, and Bassey's come in for a lot of plaudits. To be fair, I thought today he did struggle a wee bit, but you think he's so young to get a game against a guy like Boyce, who's a seasoned pro, especially in the SPL. It'd be a good test for him, and he'll learn from that, surely.
Liam Boyce is probably the smartest player at doing what he did today in the league. That'll be the hardest game of that type that he'll play against. Somebody who just literally attached himself to him, didn't want to run away from him, didn't want to run a channel. He put himself in front of him and he made the space for Haring and Devlin just to put balls straight into him. And it was just that second midfield run that was concerning me. If it got popped off into Mackay Stephen, that was the only thing that was really concerning me. But they did that deliberately. I think it was Cammy said that before we started. He pulled on to Bassey. He knew what he was doing because he knew we did nothing out of Goldson, and that's where their first few chances come from. And that is the only thing. But like we said, he's young. He's going to have to learn. You're only going to learn and get better by playing these games. You can't do it just doing training and watching people. So it will be. Oh God, here he is. It will be an improvement.
Look at that.
That's a riot. Come on, you.
Can I just say, I apologise. I've not been very well over the last couple of days, and I'm still not feeling too great. But I put in earlier, get your comments in, and you can help support the podcast if you want by sending in super chats as well. Obviously, super chats come in regardless of what the question is, as long as it's clean. We shall answer it, and I shall bring it up, gents, and then I will leave because I realise that this does not look good.
Face for radio, Martin.
It's not even a face for radio. This wouldn't even get me on radio. It's from Cameron Kellis, RFC, who generously donates £2 to the podcast. Do we all agree Gio is a step up from Stevie G? Maybe early days, but I shall leave it with you guys, and I will get this mug off of this screen.
Thank you, Martin. It's a good question, Cameron, for me. I think no one's going to say here he's not, is he? I think it's a step up. I can just see things that are happening so early on that I'm impressed by it, or maybe it's just because we were so used to seeing 4-3-3.
I think it's early days. I think you're going to have to wait to see what way trophies we get in the bag, how we set out, what players he brings in himself. And I think, like Cammy mentioned, after the 3-week break in January, you might see something different. At this moment in time, it's early for Gio. If you ask Gio that, he'd probably say that himself. It's early. We hope he has a step up. I mean, we can't do any worse than what Gerrard. Everyone's a league like Gerrard will be happy, and but it's a step up now. It's a lot of pressure to put on him.
Cammy, what are you thinking?
Listen, it's way too early to even, we've had the bounce for the new manager. Gerrard's went down south to Villa. Villa have had a bounce from him coming in. Our Villa fans saying that Gerrard's better than Dean Smith. At the end of the day, it's the 12th of December. We could be sitting here doing the live reaction after the Celtic game, and we've went to Pittodrie and we've dropped 2 points, and you've lost the Old Firm game, and then the pressure's right on. So I think let's wait until we're all sitting here with a glass of champagne at the end of April, and we're all getting emotional doing the live reaction and the league trophies there. It's way too early to say that. I think until he wins something over at the end of the season, wins the league and wins the Scottish Cup. But I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's fair on Gio or fair on Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, as you know, folks, there's one person I like to talk about quite a lot, and Brian has asked the question, and I think a lot of people, it's the bounce. You're just saying that, John. The boys are saying the bounce you get when a new manager comes in, but I don't know if Kamara's maybe been given a wee bit more responsibility and in there almost on his lonesome, but he's stepping. He's what a player.
He is, but I mean, I think if he's watched that game back, you'll see a lot of the problems are the fact that midfield's overrun, and that would be my main concern about this Old Firm game if we get there. With the way he brings in fullbacks and play, he's going to have 4 in that middle of the park, and the way that Aribo's playing, which is more like a second striker, it's going to become very evident that we're overrunning that middle of the park. So, I mean, I would expect Gio to have something different up his sleeve for the Old Firm, going back to 3 in midfield and having 2 sitters. But that would be my only concern. I felt at Livingston, Kamara got overrun a lot, being that lonesome DM. I thought he was excellent today. His use of the ball was probably the best in the team, getting out for the back. I felt like people struggled. There was a lot of loose passes. So I think in that, Kamara does get the pass marks, but he's got a lot of work if he thinks he can have him as a sole CDM. That would be my only concern, as I think in bigger games, he'll get, like a European game, you couldn't do that. He struggled in Livingston. So, but I also think Kamara last season was head and shoulders above what he's still showing just now. So, there's both. And as for the Gerrard Gio question, I think it's just a sidestep onto a very similar level of manager, regardless of what follows. I think they're both the exact same caliber. I just think we needed a fresh voice in that room. Yeah. I felt like it went pure stale in that team. So I think we could have appointed, not appointed anyone, but I think if someone came in with the right simple changes that he's made, we would have probably seen this bounce as well. It will be when, like Cammy said, we get a transfer window out of him, when we've seen 2 months down the line where it really is. I still think that Davis is still the best in that position, and I like the fact, I don't think he's dropped Davis. I think he's using Davis very sparingly, knowing the congestion in calendar. And I think when you look at that Old Firm 2nd of January, Aberdeen away, Stephen Davis will be in that team because he is the best at what he does. And I like the fact that he's using them sparingly. Today's lack of subs, I think, is through minutes of people not playing in Leon, giving people the rest. So they needed the 60, 70 minutes, 80 minutes extra. Because that's what you keep getting told. Like it's almost detrimental to have a player playing 20 less minutes than they're used to. So you sometimes have to only make 2 subs. I do like the fact that he is giving people time, he is giving people rest, because I think we'll now see he took Kent off in his first 3 games early, and he's played him the full 90 since. I think that's a big thing. I think he's going to manage these players much better. And not to talk too much about Celtic, but if you look at the injuries they're currently racking up, it can only be good that we've got a squad that size. And everything Gio seems to do just now is working a treat. He brought Arfield in for a game, scored the opening goal against Livingston. Yeah. Brought Scott Wright in on Thursday, scores the goal. Brought Sakala in today, gets the assist. Everything just seems to be rolling just now, and the little tweaks he's making are working. So long may that continue. So to answer that very long-winded question, yeah, Kamara was good today, but I do not trust him as a CDM. I need somebody else in alongside him.
Okay, another thing from Gio we've seen today, not scared to make a few like more difficult changes, as in respect of he takes off both Morelos and Sakala during the game. Now, John was saying earlier, it probably could have been a bit earlier, but he takes both our strikers off, leaving us with no natural striker on the part. So we almost went to a kind of false nine with Kent, I think it wasn't it? It's see KRC just making changes like that. We've never seen this before. It just goes to show how versatile this squad perhaps could be.
I think, with the way we play, because the guys up top are fast, we know we can play the ball into them, they can run channels, different sides, and go through the middle. I think he brought in Lundstrom just to try and shore it up. Because yourself, at 2-0 farts like a goal, you start to feel a bit under pressure. But he's done well with Joey's substitution after this. Under Gerrard, it was fine, but we all knew it would only wait 75 minutes and Gerrard would make a sub. It was always kind of the same, or he didn't make it quick enough for a lot of people. But it's just the way he goes. We've got a lot of options up top, especially if they're all fit and they're all firing. We've got a lot of options that can play in different positions. And if, like I said earlier, Morelos can be the main focal one again, it's good for us. But I like the way he's come in and started doing things so far.
Cammy, I actually, I had Kent as my man of the match, but I think he's coming on. It's just once he gets going, Cammy, the league could be in trouble because he's he's getting better and better every game just now.
We just need to get the ball to him a bit more. For me,
someone saying that in the comments.
We're not talking about Thursday night. He had the right back on toast, and we never got the ball anywhere near enough. I know it's an away game in Europe, but I thought today, when he was on the ball, he looked very dangerous. He looked sharp, and I mean, if you think back to the Kent that played in the semi-final, everybody was pretty poor that day. But I think Kent will be one. I think that we will manage. I think as well across this busy schedule, because obviously the injuries coming back. But Kent and Aribo are massive for us, middle to front, creatively. But we just need to get the ball to Kent a bit more, in my opinion. That was just the minor frustration with regard to the way that we settled for what we had at 2-0. There was times just with a wee bit more pace on the counter attack. Just get that final pass to Ken or to Sakala or whatever, But Kent's massive for us. He's another one. Get the contract signed.
Yeah, Cammy, stop. Cammy just brings up these wee things. Anyway, Cammy, I was going to just segue to John for something there that you said was really, really good. And then you brought up somebody's contract and it's pure through me. Anyway, I can't remember what you said, something good within that, Cammy, but you ruined it by saying something about a contract. I can't remember what it is.
Sorry.
John, Giannelli's second yellow card. The boy Devlin perhaps was pretty nippy today, wasn't he? Barisic took a wee bit of umbrance for his first tackle, and then they were pals. But does Barisic win that second yellow card to get Giannelli sent off?
No. I don't even, because Barisic is...
John, you've not agreed with me with one thing today.
Barisic is talking to Devlin and the two of them have totally calmed down. The two of them have agreed that the tackle's been, it was fine, they were shaking hands. And Giannelli comes around the back of the ref out of nowhere. I don't think Barisic even sees him. And I think Barisic knows once he attaches to him that he can get him sent off just by reacting. But it was wild. Like, there was nothing in that whatsoever. I thought... That's what Devlin does. Devlin's the Australian Ian Black. Yeah. Like, that's what he'll do. He'll put himself about. He'll get any tackles. I thought at half time, I said to my mate, I was like, there's a red card in this game. This game's getting really nippy. Hearts are getting frustrated. Halkett's thrown into a few tackles. I felt like it was going to boil over if Hearts couldn't get the goal. And it just seemed like that's exactly what happened. I don't know what Giannelli's doing, but I think he's a young footballer as well. Yeah. But I think there's a couple of questionable decisions with the ref throughout that game, to be honest. I think the goals and handballs are penalty, but I also think if we've got more cameras at Scottish football, we probably see the balls out for Gary Mackay-Steven, but we can't tell because we insist on only having two different shots of angle at our whole league. It's the same every week. It's why we can't tell if decisions are definitely onside or offside, because we've got one camera on a main stand and one that seems to fleet about. That's it. It's like embarrassing. You watch English Premier League football and they can computer generate what they think's happened and where the angle is based on the amount of cameras they've got, and we're trying to make decisions off of two. So I think Nick Walsh had a pretty poor game today. I think a couple of people have mentioned that. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. Goldson's is definitely a penalty for me. The hand's just out a little too much, but I also definitely think the ball's out of play when Mackay, and that's what Goldson's clearly complaining about, because I think Goldson knew that it hit his hand as well, so he was trying to get in there first. But that's what it is.
I was going to get to that, but Kerr, the ref did go cards happy in the second half. I mean, the one for Tav.
That's the one that Tavernier propels forward because Devlin leans into him. You see it, because I seen it in real time and I was like, oh my god, it did look like Tavernier elbowed him. And then when you see the replay, you see Devlin just make the back for him, and Tavernier then propels himself forward and hits the guy in the back. I was like, that was a free kick to Rangers. But we're never given a penalty, so it's always disappointing when a ref doesn't dish out a penalty to wind people up.
Yeah, he wasn't great. Nick Walsh, he was going a lot. I think Hearts were getting frustrated. You can see it with their players, their fans. And I think he just started dishing out yellow cards to Rangers players, like Tav get one, then McGregor got one for the time wasting, and then Borna was getting one for the handbags. And I think he was trying to even things up. Janelli was stupid, as in the boy Devon. I've seen Hearts a few times. He's like that every game. It's not just against Rangers. He's like every game. He likes to just wind people up. He's into back him. It's nothing nasty. He's just constantly running about, and he doesn't mean to kick you, but that's the way he plays.
So I'm going to just. Sorry, I lost that one. It was 12. I thought it was 10 yellows in a red, to be fair. The ref had brandished. But he's been card happy, Cammy, hasn't he?
That's just bonkers. That's like crazy stuff. You know, I mean, I can't even mind who he booked for kicking the ball away towards the end or flicking it into the Kent. And there was 2 or 3 instances prior to that where he didn't. I'm not a huge fan of Nick Walsh. I think, how can you have that many bookings in a red card and Morelos isn't one of them? when has that ever happened?
That was the only one I was waiting on for my bet builder, Morelos, to be booked. Like, there's only one. He did have a bit of
I do like the idea with the Morelos one. Not that I would ever take us out of the game, but I like the idea that Morelos can go and tell the Hearts fans to shut up and wind them up as long as he stays inside the pitch. But if he steps over that line, it's definitely a yellow card if he does the same thing. Players just go celebrate with fans with no animosity whatsoever, but you can stand in front of fans and just wind them all up, and it's not a punishment. And then McGregor's was the best one. I think McGregor staying booked about 7 seconds before that for goal kicks.
He was doing it. McGregor was doing that in the first half.
Kicked the ball away twice in the first half. He's an absolute fucking idiot, but he's our idiot, so it's brilliant.
And he's back to his best. Cammy, we've spoken about this and all. He was roaring at the defence at most of the game. That's what we want to see from him, innit?
That was why his performances had been, in my opinion, from my point of view, had been questioned, because you're that used to him going nuts at Borna and Bassey and we were losing goals, 3 goals in the semi-final. He never bothered his backside. He would, and I think you want to see that crab at Alan McGregor back, the Alan McGregor that's making saves and what have you. The hunger looks as though it's back for him as well. And he undoubtedly has had a positive bounce from the new. I mean, he'd barely made a save up until 3 weeks ago. You know, I mean, I think the Hearts game, the game at Ibrox, he had a couple of saves against Hearts, but across the season, every time there was a shot at him, it went into the back of the net. He's now saving like 2, 3, 4 times a game. You know, great to have Griggsy back. So long may his performances like that continue.
And when Alan McGregor was booked, he definitely mouthed, "The refs are fucking fanny."
Yeah, he did.
Which we all agreed with.
Yeah, I seen someone put that in the comments there. Did I see McGregor mouth that? Aye, he definitely
100%.
McGregor's getting. This is going to be his last season. He's getting too long in the tooth now for it all. I don't think he can actually be bothered pulling off all these saves. But
I can't wait until he's working for Sky and he's sitting alongside Chris Boyd and he's doing. Can you imagine? Oh dear! Listen, let's make his last season a good one with a a League and Cup double, and get a load of clean sheets between now and the end of the season. That's and so that Alan McGregor goes out on a proper high for the fantastic. I mean, 440 odd games, I think they said in commentary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. That's fantastic across two spells, and we'll never have a mad keeper like him.
I know this is match reaction, and we could probably keep this for another pod. But what do we do? What do you think individually, Kerr? What's your thoughts on that question?
At this moment in time, I don't know. Well, obviously, you're bringing somebody better. I know a lot of people are clamoring for a young boy, McCrory, but I don't know if we go down that route. I don't know if we bring in a foreign keeper or somebody with a bit of experience. I'm not sure personally. I don't think John McLaughlin is good enough, but that's just my own personal opinion.
I was very similar to that, Kerr, but I thought McLaughlin played well, and Leon, I like McLaughlin with the ball at his feet, really do. John, what's your thoughts when McGregor goes?
I think McLaughlin's good. I think McLaughlin's absolutely fine. The one thing with McLaughlin is you definitely get better distribution. So against lesser teams, I do like that, but that's almost similar to the West Fotheringham argument. You get better distribution if you have them in goal. You lose something, but Alan McGregor, Craig Gordon, those two keepers are generational.
Yeah.
There's a reason why there's still references the two best keepers that Scotland have, is because they're generational. They've been around for 20 years and they've been the best up and down, whichever one it's been in that whole time. You could even chuck David Marshall into that era as well. But it's been those three. There's been nobody else that's broken into that team. And it's because the three of them were so special. You're just going to have a situation. It was like they took on Fave. Somehow it seemed to happen that Gorham and Leighton appeared at the exact same time. There might be somebody come from nowhere. Like Alan McGregor was in the youth team, right? We brought in Letizia and he ended up in the Rangers first team. Kind of came from nowhere. So there might be another keeper that we've not even seen yet that in a couple of years will come through when we've had McLaughlin. But I think McLaughlin's ready made to take over.
Cammy, what's your thoughts?
I think the guys have pretty much covered that. I've nothing fresh to add on that. I think McLaughlin could. I would rather spend. I think it would cost a few quid to get an international quality keeper like McGregor. So I think that the money can be better spent elsewhere. I think John McLaughlin, Robbie McCrory, Jay Hogarth, etc. We've got keepers there, sort of thing.
You can get your fingers heavily burnt bringing in an international class goalkeeper, can't you? Folks, thanks for joining in. Remember to subscribe and hit the like button. The like button's massive for us. Rangers are now 7 points clear. The other part of Glasgow play today at 3 o'clock kickoff. They're at home to Motherwell. We'll see how that unfolds, where we finish the day. We finished 4. I know someone's saying that bulb above my head's make my head shine. I know it totally is. It was a good performance overall. We come away from Tynecastle with the 3 points. It's 6 points in the capital, which William was saying. That was brilliant. Tomorrow is Monday, and Brian's been hitting us with some unbelievable questions today, by the way. So, what is happening tomorrow, Cammy?
Sheriff.
What would Cammy? I know I've heard you. You want to go as far as you can. So, are you a Sheriff man? And
then that's not saying that they're a gimme at all. Listen, they went to Real Madrid and won in the Bernabeu early in the season, but we've played Barcelona. Listen, I've been to Barcelona, Porto, Dortmund. I would like something fresh, sort of thing. No matter who we draw, the second leg is at Ibrox. We want the second leg to be meaningful, so that is also part of my rationale. I would worry if you went to Dortmund, for example, and Haaland was playing, that the game could, that scares the life out of me. If we are playing the first tie at Ibrox, fair enough. But I think for me, Sheriff is the tie that I would prefer. If there was a one that I could pick, if there was a hot ball that I could pick out, that would be the one.
Kerr, what's your thoughts?
Probably agree with Cammy. Someday we can keep the tie open in the second leg. Obviously, everybody likes the glamour ties, but sometimes a glamour tie could be over in the first leg, depending who we get. So hopefully we get a team we can keep it open until we come back to Ibrox and maybe get a chance of doing something.
John, are you the same? Are you all for just try to keep this European run going. Because I actually feel I would like Barcelona. Not, yeah, it's a glamour tie, and we have been there before, I know, but maybe I'm just being confident. I think we could. I don't think they're the team they have ever been. I know they're a great side, but I'm not saying we could beat them, but I don't think we'd be out of it after the first leg.
Nah, I think once Xavi gets settled in there and brings in the young players that he's already identified, Barcelona, by the time we would play them, they'll be absolutely phenomenal. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Watched the second half against Bayern. First half, they were completely undone, but they kind of controlled a lot of the possession in the second half, which concerned me because it looked like, oh, well, that's sort of like a Xavi team. There's a couple of youngsters they chucked in. I wouldn't want Barcelona. No, I want Sheriff or Zenit. I think those two. Zenit concede a lot of goals. Zenit are very open in the way they play. I think we could counter-attack against them. Sheriff, I think that Real Madrid result aside, look probably on level where we would have been if we were in the champion in their same Champions League group. We'd have probably get similar results if you take out that mental Real Madrid result they got. That was quite the shock. Yeah. So I would be Sheriff or Zenit for me. I don't want I'll take Barcelona in the next round. I don't want them in this one.
So you're all wanting to progress. I was just hoping, glamour tie, we've done what we had to do in Europe and get this league over the line for me. Anyway, prior to that, or just after the draw, Wednesday night, we play St Johnstone.
St Johnstone.
At Ibrox. Kerr, we just need to keep the ball rolling here, don't we? Just keep going with these games and just keep picking up these 3 points.
I was at St Johnstone yesterday. They've got nothing up top. I know Chris Gain hit the woodwork, but apart from that, Aberdeen kind of had the game in control. I know they scored the goal. It was probably a handball, but St Johnstone don't have anything. Their 2 best players yesterday were Bryson and Ali Crawford. The only 2 that was looking to go forward. Chris Kane runs about, does a job up top, but he's not the greatest finisher, and they've got nothing out wide. Middleton was playing, but David Bates, every time the ball was pushing them off. I don't see any problems against St Johnstone. I think they're poor. The fans round about me yesterday were shouting for Callum Davison to be sacked. So I think they're got a team with a lot of confidence out with them now. So Big Xander kept on it with a few good saves. So I think it should be a comfortable one, but don't take anything for granted because you have to turn up first of all. We
don't take anything for granted at all. Cammy, do you think we'll make a few changes for Wednesday?
One or two. I think 3 home games before we go to Pittodrie. 9 points. That's simple as that. St Johnstone, Dundee United, St Mirren. It has to be 9 points, and then you go to Pittodrie. I think across the 3 games, I think he'll continue what he's doing. A wee tweak here and a wee tweak this player in and that player in and what have you. You know, I think they're well skilled with regard to that, but we just have to keep doing what we're doing. See if we can get 9 points and rack up a few goals, even better. Because obviously you're wanting to keep make the most of home games, and I think the 6 points that we dropped in home games earlier in the season, I think we want to get back to Ibrox being that fortress and scoring 3 or 4 goals if we can. If we can do that across these next 3 games, even better. That'll take us to Pittodrie and fine Fettle.
Yeah, taking us back to Cammy, that's a very good point with John what Cammy's saying. The next 3 games is St Johnstone, Dundee United, St Mirren. And me and Cammy do Best of the Rest, which is on Patreon for £2 a month. The link is in the description. And these are the 3 teams that are that was so bad, the plug, wasn't it?
That's me and you, not you and Cammy.
Sorry. But these 3 teams are the teams that are, John, are the teams that are off the boil. It's probably it's a good run of games to get to Pittodrie. These are the 3 off-form sides. We're expecting 9 points, aren't we?
Well, we should be getting 9 points against those teams, yeah. But it's hard to tell. I think Dundee United, if we look back at the game we played them at Tannadice, I know it's a different name, and I know they're a bit of a different side now. They're struggling a wee bit of form, but it's always hard to tell with Scottish footballers. Like 6 points separating the bottom 7. Yeah. Like that's mid-table down. So I've seen folk asking for Tam Courts to be sacked. Callum Davison should have left when he had the chance. People wanted Stephen Glass sacked for Aberdeen 3 weeks ago, and he's won 3 in the bounce, and now he's a 1 win away from 4th in the league.
Yeah.
The league's so tight because Rangers, Celtic, Hearts have been picking up every point they've been able that's been available to them up until recently. We should be winning these games at home anyway. We should be winning all the home games. We shouldn't be dropping points at home. We haven't been dropping points at home. The only thing I will say is those 3 teams, although they're out of form, Dundee United and St Mirren, are decent away form. They've not been terrible overall this season in the last 5 games. That'd be my only thing to look out for. But yeah, God's sake, we should be taking 3 points off everyone. We should be taking 3 points off everyone with the exception of Celtic at home. They should be guarantees. That's how those leagues are decided, and then it comes down to old firms.
Yeah. This was somebody I was actually going to talk about. I'd forgotten, but CGM's brought it up. Wasn't in the squad today. Cammy, what is going on? Have we got another Ryan Jack in my hands here?
Well, I replied to somebody on social media earlier about it. If Kemar Roof wasn't injury prone, he wouldn't be playing at Rangers. It's that simple. He was injury prone when he played at Leeds. He was injury prone when he went to Belgium. So it's not a great surprise. This is the injury that he picked up on international duty. He's obviously came back. I am assuming it's a reoccurrence of the injury. It wasn't particularly good on Thursday night in my eyes anyway. So we just have to wait and see. Gio doesn't tell you very much, sort of thing, But I just think we just have to. I think we expect it. We came our roof, I think my only surprise is that it's taken to November for him to pick up the first niggle. It is what it is. His body just doesn't appear to be good to him, sort of thing, So hopefully it's just a short term, because the more options we've got available, the better for this congested schedule.
I think we'll end it soon, folks. Just thanks for watching. Remember, please like and subscribe. But before we go, Cam, I was going to ask you a question. Is Connor Goldson going to sign a new contract?
I doubt it. No, I think that ship is. I think that ship has sailed. Sadly, I would love him to sign a contract, because it will be a huge loss. But that's for Ross Wilson and the scouts to find a replacement. If we can get somebody that's available in a pre-contract, even better. But I don't think so. But Golson the last 2 or 3 games has been excellent. And, much more like himself. So long may that continue.
So it's 10-3 on a Sunday, folks. We are 7 points clear in the league. Aldo's been a good supporter of the podcast from the start. So he ends it on a note of we shall not be moved. We're top of the league, folks. So I just want to thank everybody for listening in. Thanks to Kerr, Cammy and John for joining us. Guys, thanks a lot. Good chat. Thanks for everybody for listening. Apologise for Martin appearing and scaring them who was having a chilled Sunday. That was a sight to behold. But yeah, we will see you all soon, folks. Take care.